Hello and happy Monday. Yes, I'm finally back. I still have a cold, as you can tell. Actually had the flu, but I'm back and we have questions. So let's jump right to it, shall we? Okay. I'm opening up the document with the questions. Let's see what we have here. Okay. Our first question comes from Diane. And Diane says, what's the one thing a leader can say that instantly makes the team feel safe to share their ideas? Diane, I like this question, but I will say that I don't think that there is one thing that someone can say that will instantly make people feel comfortable sharing their ideas. It's not really how it works. I mean, it does take time and people have to watch your behavior, but I think a good start would be saying something like, let's say someone is giving their perspective in a meeting, and you could say something like, that's an interesting perspective, tell me more. And that's really based on being curious. I think a lot of times we forget the natural way that curiosity can help us uh, disarm people. Because when we see that someone is curious about us, we feel like they actually care to learn more about us. And so while I don't think it's an instant, like an easy button or an instant way, I do think it's a nice beginning if you start and lead with curiosity. And so just, letting someone know that's really interesting what they're saying, you want to hear more about it is a great way to do that, Diane. I hope that helps and answers your question. All right, let's look at our next question. Our next question is from Steve, and Steve says, hi, Marie. I love watching Monday with Marie, and I like when you do the game questions, so I thought I'd send you a game question. Okay, Steve. If work were turned into a board game, what would the go to jail card be? Well, Steve, I think the go to jail card would be for most people, go to a meeting. That would be the go to jail card if work were a board game. I think people feel like they're in jail when they have to go to meetings because meetings are boring. People don't make meetings interesting. They don't talk about anything, and people don't feel like the meeting progress. So that would be my answer to that. So, Steve, a bit of a bonus would be, how do we change that? A couple of things. One, if we treated meetings more like events, meaning, pardon the pun there, I did not mean to do that. um, Meaning that if we actually set up meetings so that everyone could participate, everyone walks out with an action, everyone is able to talk about the actions that they've taken, and the work moves forward, that the meeting is in service to the work, not the work in service to the meeting. Right now, most meetings are really just for the sake of getting together and doing a round robin. You can do that on a one-on-one. You can do that with an email. I mean, I have created mugs and t-shirts that say that this should have been an email. I think we've all seen those. And that's the point, is that a lot of times when we're just disseminating information, that's not a meeting. And we shouldn't call it a meeting. We should call it what it is. I just need to disseminate information because I don't trust that you're going to read your email. That's pretty much it. Steve, I hope that helps. And so my go to jail response is go to a meeting. All right. And then let's see. Oh, we have a question here. Doesn't say who the question is from. And it's like, what is the funniest or most confusing thing that a non-native speaker has misinterpreted or not been able to say? Actually, I'm going to bust myself on this one. When I was learning Japanese, I I don't know why, because the words are not the same. Any Japanese speaker will tell you the words are not the same. So I don't even know why I did this. But I went into a shop and I was trying to say that I wanted to know the price of this really beautiful antique clock. Instead, I said that the antique clock was hideous. And the word for hideous, like hideously ugly, is a very specific word. It's busu. And I don't know why, but for some reason, I kept asking the guy, well, not really asking, because I was telling him that his clock was hideous, when I was thinking I was asking what the price of the clock was. So that was kind of an embarrassing moment there in terms of learning language. And I think that's very normal and natural that when you're learning language, you're going, especially if you're learning as an adult, you're going to have embarrassing moments. Your brain is going to conflate things. You're not always going to be able to speak perfectly. And you have to give yourself some grace when you're learning language because that's what it is. Your brain's just not going to be able to speak clearly. I think a lot of times we assume because someone doesn't speak our language that they're less than us. And the reality is that anyone that can speak, that's multilingual, they're doing something that the average person doesn't do. They've committed to learning another language and even speaking in that language. And so it's important to remember, while your question is really framed in like a humorous sort of what's a funny thing, the lesson there is that language is ultimately what connects us. And the fact that someone has taken the time to learn your language, you need to give grace because they're not going to know all the nuances in your language. And they're doing the best that they can. And it's okay to be helpful and also recognize that this person speaks one more language than you do, and they could kick your butt in terms of being able to speak in their own native language. So I hope that's helpful. And I will say on this Monday, the first Monday in March, remember, it's really important to give yourself grace and to give others grace and to find that moment of kindness that you can share with a coworker, a friend, a spouse, a partner, the world. With that, I will say have a great Monday. And I am going to go sneeze now because I feel it coming on. I need to sneeze. Thank you.